Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm really grateful for all of you to make time on your busy work day to, come together to work on mindful parenting. I'm going to do a very quick, brief intro. Most of you probably know me. I have been at your talks before, thanks to Poonam and the Mindfulness Network for trusting me to come back again and again. So I'm Dr. Leena Khanzode. I'm a child, adolescent, adult psychiatrist. I graduated from Stanford in 2009. Now I'm on their adjunct clinical faculty. I have a private practice, Silicon Valley Psychiatry in downtown Los Altos. And I'm also the founder of a nonprofit called Tarika Foundation, whose mission is to promote and support youth mental health. I'm sure you can learn a lot of the things we do by going on our website. Maybe Poonam can post that. So without further ado, I'm going to just dive into our topic today. Really fascinating to see you guys already are so aware. The Slido poll results were like, I'm like, why am I here? You guys know it all already. Uh, so but I think there's always room for improvement, right? We may be at different stages of that self-awareness, and there can be different ways to cultivate that further and become better and better each day. That's kind of what parenting is all about. And if we use a mindful approach to our parenting, the self-awareness as a big step can become a little bit more easy, is what we have learned from research and science and personal experience as a parent too. So today's agenda is to talk about triggers, and thanks to a lot of you for answering that poll and sharing some of the triggers, and recognizing those patterns and fostering self-compassion as a tool that we are going to learn about. And I just saw that quick comment. Yes, knowing and doing is a whole different thing. I'm with you on that. I am actually uh, definitely noticing that has been like my journey in this process of like just even learning to practice mindfulness and how to kind of use that in parenting. And yes, like I think I knew about mindfulness like 6, 7 years ago, but maybe now touching the surface of doing it a little bit more than knowing. So it is a process. It takes time, but the good news is it works. And we need to make a little bit more effort each time. It's not like you have to, it's not very hard, honestly. It's about just taking charge to, once you know, to kind of put in practice. So why does self-awareness matter? Um, I think a lot of you, with your comments, it seems like you guys are very aware of the thoughts and the triggers, that come up in that moment of like whether your child is being disrespectful or defiant or not listening to you, or not uh, complying, whatever the situation might be. So often, what we notice often is, there is like this emotional brain that goes fires before the logical brain kicks in, and often the emotional brain hijacks our logical brain, which is why there is emotional reactivity. So, you know, mindfulness helps you to actually kind of slowly understand that cascade, that emotions didn't come just because of a stimulus, but there was also a thought before that. And how I can, and how even if my emotional brain is being, reactive right now and making me say or do things in terms of be mad or be angry or, choose a way to like react, how that's not a helpful thing, not a fruitful thing to do. So awareness will, building that self-awareness, using mindfulness as a strategy, will help you to kind of start to become just aware of not only when you are feeling that emotion of anger rising, but it's like, there is, when my child disrespected me, there is a thought that precedes that. How dare they do that? Or how come they use that tone of language? Or how come they, are not respecting me for who I am in their life right now? And that leads to that cascade of, like, those cascade of thoughts then lead to more cascades of emotions. So um, often we notice those emotions in form of physical sensations. Normally, you may not notice, like, you're quite angry. You may feel that, like, fire in your belly, or your muscles clenching, and you're like, feeling like, oh, how did this happen? So mindfulness is, again, teaching you ways to build that some self-awareness, whether you're trying to be more self-aware of what's happening in your body with body sensations, what's happening with your thoughts, your emotions. And of course, once we have that first foundation, then we are able to do the next steps. And some of you are already trying some steps that help us kind of bring that emotional brains hijacking down. We'll talk more about that, but that's why self-awareness is so important. That's the first step. Like, if I don't know what's wrong, I can't fix things. So the more I become aware of what's happening in the moment for me in that situation, really kind of gives me a better pause or space to choose a response than react. So, of course, you mentioned a lot of triggers, which are very valid and very understandable. I've been there, done that, continue to do that. So it's not like unique to any one of you. These are common triggers for us. And of course, they get compounded when we are stressed. We have our own sleep deprivation. We have our own challenges at work or in a personal life. And then if on top of that, the child's behavior is testing us each day, it can really throw us off. And obviously, some of the signs, like you guys, beautifully mentioned, like I walk away instead of raising my voice, or sometimes I do raise my voice, and it's natural to be having that kind of reactivity in some ways. I feel stressed out, I'm impatient, I'm frustrated. There's a range of emotions that can pop up. And then obviously, what mindfulness helps us to do is, like, go beneath why, what, was this just this comment from my son or daughter? Was that the trigger? Or what part of that was such a big trigger for me to feel so emotionally hurt or reactive? Did that threaten my sense of respect that I deserved? Did it threaten my sense of safety, or made me feel like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to my child? Am I doing a good job, getting him ready for the world? Like, what is at the root of it that threatens you, which is why our emotional brain fires thinking it's a real threat, and we kind of notice those physical sensations, those emotional kind of waves of different flavors of emotions and different thoughts. Um, so obviously we get into patterns. We are, creatures of habits and patterns. Whatever we experience a few times, we kind of start to fall into that pattern of going in the same way. It becomes an autopilot pretty quickly. So, important, you know, thing that we can work towards is, like, that self-awareness, again, as a foundational step, is a way to kind of understand this is a pattern. Like, every time, I am hearing a no from my child, or, sign of disrespect is being, shown, or every time there is, like, they are not cooperating with me, if when I have to get somewhere on sometime, like some of you mentioned, like getting people ready to be out of the door and be, somewhere, can be a challenge, often, if there is no cooperation, compliance from your children. So, triggers can be many during the day. But often, we find ourselves falling into the patterns of either we are screaming, yelling, or, some of us have learned to, like, okay, it's not a great idea to scream and yell. Maybe take a pause, step away, take some few deep breaths. and then kind of talk about it in a way that can make more of a difference in the future. So again, it is very difficult to do it on the fly, in the moment, because um, we are human beings full of emotions. We have our very old reptilian emotional brain that always is ready to fire and hijack our logical brain. But the good news is that, if we start taking time to work on also kind of exercising our mind, right? Like, we've become so good about maintaining our physical health, building a lot of awareness that even though I don't want to get up in the morning and stretch, I have to stretch because that's what makes my body healthy. And I need to nourish it with the right diet. So there's been a lot of emphasis on, of course, and great change compared to like a decade ago. We are all being very, very mindful about our physical health, how to take care of it, but we really don't pay enough attention to our mind, which is like our hard drive of this computer of our body that does everything for us. And so there's different ways people can, exercise their mind. For some, it could be mindfulness. For some, it could be, meditating in a different way. What appeals to you? For it, so some it could be walking in the nature. For it, some it could be like listening to music. For some, it could be doing 10 jumping jacks, whatever that might be. But I think it's important to take time out to be with yourself and be with your inner self, and train that muscle as well, which is, I think that's why I was like saying, like, it's a process. Knowing is one thing, and when I take a moment to really practice it, even for 5 minutes, each day as a first step, it is going to make a difference. It's going to train my muscle, give me better self-regulation strategies. um, so, I mean, we all started with like a few mindful breathing, exercises in the beginning of this talk, which Poonam beautifully kind of started. Like, let's set an intention. Let's breathe. Let's be who we are, because we kind of tend to go, 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 and we can't be human doings all the time. We need to be the beings we are to charge ourselves. And the breath is the anchor for really coming to the present moment. That's one of the very easy things freely available to us that allows us to kind of then start noticing, okay, what's happening right now? Which part of my body is looking more tight? What's happening in terms of sensations? Is there burning? Is there tingling? Is there fatigue? What is it that is going on in my body? And the moment we do that, and this is, again, I was briefly talking about this, the whole concept of parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, how that autonomous nervous system helps us to regulate. And so these breathing, deep diaphragmatic abdominal breathing that I was talking about last time, if some of you were there, like, just breathing is not as helpful as we put in an effort to do a deep inhale, expand our lungs like a balloon, push the diaphragm, push our belly out, fill our belly with the inhale, and then breathe out, because that's when we are stimulating our vagal nerve, our parasympathetic system, and that's when the false alarm that our emotional brain perceives with any little threat and releases that cascade of like hearts racing, feeling queasy, feeling really, angry and ready to charge. That sympathetic nervous system cascade slowly starts to get reversed when we have the antidote, the parasympathetic nervous system, taking over and giving us, the sense of reassurance. False alarm, false alarm. This is not a real threat. I can do this. I can, overcome this situation right now in a better way. And the moment we are reversing that cascade, the moment we are trying to calm down those bodily sensations, that anger and the feelings, noticing again, noticing. So being aware of, okay, this is coming up. I'm feeling frustrated. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling mad. I'm feeling like I want to hit this kid right now. Maybe those could be the things. But of course, if I'm still like, okay, I am the adult here, I'm the parent here, what can I do? What's in my control? And if I take a moment to breathe and bring that, kind of, the emotional valence and all that charging that's happening down, I can then start to, unhijack the logical brain from emotional brain's grasp. And that's what pausing helps, to do. And then I'm like, okay, now I have a menu of items. Do I scream and yell again today and have a bad start to my morning? Or should I like let them have natural consequence to be tardy and then have a chat later tonight when we all are calm? Then the solutions can start to pop up. Um, so, self-compassion, I'm sure this is like another buzzword that goes around a lot these days, like compassion, compassion, compassion towards others, compassion to self, mindfulness. I mean, all these buzzwords are, of course, like knowing is one thing, right? Like they make logical sense to us when you read about it, when you understand why that can be helpful. But honestly, in order to be compassionate towards others, I need to be first self-compassionate to myself. Only when my bucket is full, I can give it to others, right? And so this is like a very almost like what's the word? A paradoxical kind of concept. I have learned it the hard way. I, am a person who's just my temperament wise, I'm a person who's harsh to herself to begin with. And then I come from a culture or my profession has taught me only to just like try harder, suck it up, be harsh to yourself, do, find faults in yourself, blame yourself. And that actually is what not a lot of us do, right? Like we are taught to be just harsh to ourselves to get to the next level and the next level. But what we are understanding, not only from research, but I mean, I'm honestly like this has been my own personal journey too. Like I have realized it is counterproductive. It can take you only so far. Only when I can, take a moment to say, yes, I'm struggling right now. I am having difficult moment right now. I'm not being a great parent right now. I'm stressed out from work. I'm sleep deprived. I shouldn't have said what I meant. I didn't intend to. Whatever, only when I do that, I can really recharge myself, bring myself back, because the cascade of self-hatred, harshness only fuels the sympathetic overdrive, only fuels the emotional brain. And that is, what we see is counterproductive, So just like when our friend calls us and says, hey, you know what, I messed up this morning. I got just out of proportionally angry with my kid. He was just being a little late and I was stressed out because I had an important meeting. I was stepping out. He was not getting ready on time. And the whole car ride dropping to school, I was yelling and screaming at him and telling him, why can't he get his act together? How many times I have to like keep reminding him to be ready, blah, 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 blah. And after all, my meeting went well. And by the time I came for lunch break, I'm looking back and I'm feeling horrible about my parenting approach this morning. And so, and then your friend at the other end might, first thing she'll say, this is what we do. We easily do it for others than for ourselves. We say, it's okay. I get it. You were sleep deprived. You had an important meeting. You were running late. And if I were you, I would have felt the same way. It's okay. Maybe you can apologize to him tonight and say, I had a rough morning and that's why I lost it. How can we come up with a plan together to be on time tomorrow or next time? So, when our friend can do that easily, uh, yeah, we are very partial. Like, we can be gentle and be more understanding towards others, but when it comes to ourselves, we tend to be really harsh. That's how we are wired. That's how the culture and the world around us has trained us to be. And we are understanding that the more I do that, the more I can actually empower myself to be a role model, to have solutions. And sometimes we don't have answers in the moment, and it's okay. It's okay. Like, this is a unique journey. Every kid is different, everybody has different challenges. So, really acknowledging and comforting yourself that I'm doing a good job. I don't need to be a perfect parent. I can be just a good enough parent. I think that is another place where we struggle. We have this kind of very um, you know, I guess a vision about like, this is how I'm going to parent the moment we conceive and say, okay, this is how my child is going to be this, and this is how it's going to go. I'm going to attend all these parenting classes. I'm going to read. I'm going to not do what my parents did wrong. But guess what? We are we are presented with challenges. Your child may have a completely different temperament. You may have to customize your parenting approach, and the cookie cutter approach that you thought works in the books may not work for them. So, I think we should take a moment to practice self-compassion, and we can certainly talk more in the QA section. I can get pretty passionate about talking, and I can lose track of time. So I'm going to invite you all to take a moment to practice this self-compassion meditation or mindfulness exercise. It's a very short one. We'll just take a minute or so to do it and then move to the next thing. So I invite you all to find a restful position. If you're comfortable, close your eyes. If you're not feeling like you want to close your eyes, find a neutral spot to look at. And slowly tuning out the background noises, your internal chatter. Come to the awareness of your breath. Our breath's there, always with us. All we need to do is bring our focus and kind and curious attention to our breath. Now, for us to really do a good deep breathing, I like to put my hand on my belly to see if I'm actually practicing deep breathing in a way that really calms me down. Breathing in, filling your lungs with air, the cool air going through your nose, expanding your lungs like a balloon, pushing your diaphragm, pumping that air in your belly. The belly rises, and breathing out gently and slowly, noticing your hand on your belly starting to move down, your belly sing. Let's do it one more time. Breathe in, the belly rises, and breathe out. Slowly, my belly sinks in. And as I come to this restness and stillness, this peace and stillness, this restful place, let me now move my hand from my belly to my heart. You can do both hands too if you like. And tell yourself, I am doing my best. It's okay to struggle sometimes. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be a good enough parent. Giving that kindness and love to yourself. Tell yourself, I choose kindness and compassion towards myself right now. I choose kindness and compassion towards myself right now. taking a moment to give yourself that love and kindness that you deserve. And slowly moving your hand back on your belly, taking one more deep breath and feeling that love, peace, and stillness again, one last time. When you feel ready, open your eyes and bring yourself back to the meeting. So